8:12 on a Monday morning, utility power returns to a commercial building. 2 minutes later, someone asks, "Can tenants come back in?" The doors are not consistently reporting access events. The building automation system is showing stale conditions. One elevator is available, another is not, and nobody can confirm whether the normal communication channel is working. Michael, who gets to say yes?
Not the person who first sees the lights come back on. Power is one condition. A safe reopening requires verified movement, communications, monitoring, and a clear decision owner. From an operational standpoint, the building is not back because the utility is back.
And someone on the facility side is probably thinking, please do not send people in yet. The equipment may be energized, but controls can still be catching up. A building can look normal from the lobby, while the people responsible for it are still asking what is actually safe.
Right. That gap between appearance and readiness is what we are unpacking today. Welcome to Built, Wired, and Secured. I'm Alex Morgan. I'm joined by Michael Harrington, who works in commercial property operations and continuity planning, and James Rogers, a facilities and reliability leader. Thanks for being here.
Glad to be here.
Thanks, Alex. That question sounds simple until you ask what has to happen first.
So let me put the pressure back on you. If power, connectivity, and centralized control return unevenly, what makes a building usable again?
A shared priority order. Security may want controlled access. Facilities may want stable equipment before occupants return. IT may be focused on communications. Occupants want movement and comfort. None of those concerns is unreasonable, but they cannot all be the first step.
And facilities may disagree with the timing.
Because comfort can become a safety issue.
Exactly. Temperature, ventilation, equipment condition, and visibility all affect what people can safely do next. But the sequence is not universal. An office tower, a school, a research facility, and a healthcare environment may make very different choices. The discipline is understanding your own dependencies before the pressure arrives.
Let's follow one basic scenario. A site loses power and centralized connectivity. Backup power carries selected loads. Later, utility power returns. What is the first mistake people make?
They treat restoration as a single event. Someone says, "Power is back," and the message spreads as if every system received the same instruction. But
power availability is only one condition. Exactly. A control system may still be reconnecting, equipment may require inspection, and monitoring may be reporting yesterday's status. The building does not move from off to normal in one clean step.
So the sequence is less like flipping a switch and more like passing responsibility from one system to another.
Yes, electrical availability hands something to controls. Controls hand something to equipment. Equipment changes the physical environment, and monitoring has to confirm that the change is real. If one handoff is missing, the next person may be holding the baton with nowhere to run.
And the business consequence can arrive before anyone calls it an outage. If staff cannot enter reliably, if communications are inconsistent, or if people do not know which areas are available, tenants feel this immediately.
Wait, back up. Does every system really need to be fully restored before anyone can enter or operate?
No, that can create unnecessary delay. The question is which functions are required for the next safe decision, and which can remain degraded while the team assesses the situation.
I agree with the distinction, but I am not sure I buy the idea that teams can make that call informally. In the moment, people hear good enough and fill in the blanks. If the checkpoint is not defined, a temporary condition can quietly become the operating condition.
That is fair. I am not arguing for improvisation. I am arguing for documented judgment before the incident. If the team has agreed that limited access is acceptable when certain conditions are verified, that is controlled degradation. If people invent the standard under pressure, we have a problem.
Right, but who decides whether those conditions are met? If access is partly available and monitoring is dark, opening the doors may help essential staff or create a situation nobody can see clearly.
That decision belongs to an assigned role, not whoever is standing closest to the control room. Security, facilities, IT, and the business representative should know what information they provide and who releases the next step. What breaks if this goes down? That question keeps the discussion connected to consequences.
And speed has to be balanced with verification. I agree that waiting for perfect visibility can keep a building closed longer than necessary, but rushing because occupants are waiting can create a second problem.
Exactly. The checkpoint should define what evidence is sufficient. It should not demand perfect information, but it should prevent a guess from being treated as confirmation.
That is a useful distinction. Not perfect information, but enough evidence for the next safe action.
Comfort creates the same pressure. If the temperature starts moving in the wrong direction, the instinct is to bring every mechanical system back immediately. But equipment may need inspection, controls may not be synchronized, and a fast restart can turn discomfort into damage. Preventative maintenance beats emergency repairs every time.
So speed is not automatically resilience.
No. Speed without verification moves the risk downstream. If tenant connectivity returns before building communications, who is coordinating the message? If controls return before reliable monitoring, who confirms the equipment is behaving as expected? That is fine until it fails, and then the missing decision becomes everyone's problem.
And a dashboard is not the same as observation. An operator may see that a command was issued, but someone still needs to confirm the physical response. Is the equipment stable? Does the local condition match the displayed condition? Those questions are not glamorous, but they are where recovery becomes real.
Let's make that practical. What can a team rehearse without disrupting normal operations?
Start with a tabletop. Give the team one scenario. Power is available, building controls are intermittent, access is limited, and communications are uneven. Then ask, what do you do in the first 15 minutes? Do not rescue the group too quickly. The awkward pauses are useful.
Then change one fact. The facilities lead is unavailable. The monitoring service has not confirmed recovery. Tenants are asking to return. A good rehearsal tests decision ownership, not just technical memory. If everyone is waiting for one person, the plan has a bottleneck.
That sounds less like a test of equipment and more like a test of coordination.
It is both. People often document what a system is supposed to do, but not who decides when that system is trustworthy enough to use. From an operational standpoint, that missing sentence can matter more than another page of technical description.
A simple worksheet helps. For each major function, write down what has to be available, what has to be verified, and who can release the next step. I would add a fourth column. What can an operator actually observe? If the plan says a system is ready, but nobody can confirm the condition, the plan is not finished.
Give us a generalized example.
In one common pattern, equipment had power, so everyone assumed it was available, but the status view was stale. An operator could issue a command without knowing whether the equipment had accepted it. The team paused the next recovery step, sent someone to verify conditions locally, and changed the checklist to separate energized, controlled, and verified. That small distinction made the conversation much clearer.
That is a good example, because the hidden dependency was not dramatic. It was the path to trustworthy status. Another common gap is communication. A property may have a polished emergency process, but if the usual channel depends on infrastructure that is still recovering, the message may not reach anyone.
And then people create their own updates.
Exactly. One group says the building is open. Another says access is restricted. A third says systems are still being checked. Tenants feel this immediately, not because every system must be perfect, but because nobody can tell them what the current operating condition actually is.
Which is why recovery is a service outcome, not just a technical status. If occupants cannot move, work, communicate, or receive a trustworthy update, the building is not functioning normally. Technology should support operations, not complicate them.
Buildings rarely return all at once.
They rarely do. The best day in operations is the one nobody notices, but recovery is the day when everyone notices the sequence.
A good team can say what is stable, what is restricted, what is being watched, and what must happen next.
And it can communicate that honestly. Power has returned. Selected services are available. Access remains limited while derification continues. That message may not satisfy everyone, but it is far better than an all clear. The building cannot support.
Before we finish, I want listeners to leave with something they can actually use. If a team is planning a rehearsal next week, where should it begin?
Choose one realistic outage scenario. Map the functions required for the building's most important activity. Then map the dependencies between them. Name the decision owner for each checkpoint. If a question has no owner, it is not ready for an outage.
Then walk the plan physically. Ask what operators can actually observe, what evidence supports the next step, and where they can safely pause. Reliability starts with disciplined maintenance, but it also starts with disciplined observation.
And put the result on one page with 4 columns: function, dependency, verification evidence, and decision owner. If your team cannot fill in one column, that is not a paperwork problem. It is the first assumption you need to test.
Restored is a technical status. Ready is an operational judgment. They may happen together, but never assume they do.
Trust the process. If the rehearsal uncovers an awkward dependency or an argument about priorities, that is useful. Finding it around a table is far better than finding it while people are waiting outside and equipment is changing state.
So take one outage scenario to your facilities, IT, security, communications, and business teams. Walk through the first 15 minutes, then the first hour. Ask what must return, what must be verified, who decides, and what happens if the next system does not respond.
What breaks if this goes down?
And what has to happen before you bring it back? A rehearsal is maintenance for the operating plan.
That wraps up this episode of Built, Wired, and Secured. Today we explored why a building outage is not truly over when power returns, and why sequence, verification, and decision ownership determine whether operations can safely resume. Thanks for spending a few minutes with us. Until next time, make sure the systems you're responsible for are built to last, wired with intention, and secured for the real world. Built to last. Wired with intention. Secured for the real world.